Here are the 7 steps on how to launch new products on Amazon. So the first step is to plan your inventory correctly. The goal is you have to make sure your product is launched on time. It means you're gonna get your best sales and making money during the peak season. So my suggestion is you don't timing and that season as your first batch of inventory, and you have to timing it as a second batch that you reordering. The reason why is you don't want to get stuck with a lot of inventories if it's not selling, and you don't want to ordering like too little that you run out of stock. So to give you an example, the biggest season is June, for example, right? And what you do is you have to timing it like, hey, the second batch of the product will land it in June 1st. For example, and then you're working backward about, what's the time you're going to reorder based on what time is the shipment. If you ship by sea, that needs at least like a month, and then need another month for manufacturing. So which means that you have to place an order at least by April 1st or even like on March 15th. So that is the time that you need to place second order by March 15th. And then you're working backward about, okay, so what is the time you're going to make a decision whether you're going to reorder this product for your first batch. And usually you take like a month or at least 2 weeks to make that decision, which means like your first batch is going to arrive on Amazon by March 1st or February 15th. Right? And then you use the same calculation to calculate and what is the time you're going to make the first order, which is like a 2.5 months and before, which is roughly about December, mid-December, or the end of December. So overall, it's like if your peak season is in June, you should actually ship out your product in December. So that is a timeline. So it's very different from the traditional retail business. It's like, hey, if your peak season is June and you're only doing like a one shot and you can send it out and in February or March and meet the season. But my suggestion is to eliminate the risk and not missing out opportunity, and then you use the second order to hit the biggest season. After your plan your inventory, the second step is you have to make sure your listing is ready and when this product hitting Amazon. Listing including your title of the product, your product descriptions, your bullet points, and your images, your A+ pages, and videos. The key point here is make sure your listing is complete and before you actually launching it. It is different from a couple of years ago, right? And you can have the basic information and you start to get in sales. But now the marketplace become very competitive. You have to make sure your content is competitive comparing with your competitor, and you want to make sure your conversion rate is very good at the beginning, so you are not losing the momentum at the very beginning. I'd like to discuss a little bit more about what is new right now and with AI applied to Amazon's platform, because before just images, not getting indexed from the images, and now Amazon, they're using infographic of the product images to identify what the product is and what is benefit of the product. So make sure and you pay attention to that and doing some research and also using some AI tools to study the reviews and what people's looking for, and then re-emphasize that and by the title of the images, and so your product can be getting better indexed and after your launch. Another important thing that we have to pay attention now, and you don't need to pay attention a couple of years ago, is the back-end field, especially the audience information. Right now, Amazon have AMC, and which means you can target audience. So make sure if your product is targeting a specific audience, and then write that down in the audience field. So when your products become active, and then they can get you to the right traffic and audience that your product is related with. So step number 3 is to set up a Vine review campaign. That is super important because nowadays no one wants to buy the product from Amazon if there's no review, right? And especially you are in a competitive niche that all your competitor has a long history, has a lot of reviews. And so you want to make sure, even though you are new, and you should have at least a couple reviews that people can refer to before you're actually spending advertisement money on your product. What is the right amount of review? I will say at least 5. Of course, the more the better. Another important thing is make sure those Vine reviews and has a video or images information. And I think that is another very helpful point that customer are going to refer to. So wait until you have 5 or 10 reviews and before you spend any marketing money on your listing. Step number 4 is create advertisement strategy to drive sales of the product. Most importantly, you need to make sure you have a very good campaign structure to begin with, and we target it on the specific keyword, and we group that by the keyword root, and we also using softwares and to do that analysis and write a CPC and bid and based on Amazon suggestion at the beginning. And if you are being aggressive, and you can using the up bid bound, and then if you are more conservative, and you can use a median. I'm not suggesting about a low end, so either median to high end and to start it. And if you're not getting impression, and you can increase that as well. So the different things from now and versus before is before we are very heavy on the exact match because it's more specific. And nowadays we realize if you're only using exact match, Amazon will not give you enough traffic. So I suggest and you start from a broad match first. And maybe if the search volume is too high, and you can start from several long tail keywords, but with a broad match. And that will ensure you will get enough traffic and impressions and for your first launch day. Step number 5 is evaluate the performance of the current campaign and to optimize the conversion if it's necessary. So once you launch your first group of campaign and you get in some data and you make sure your listing is complete, and you can start to look at and hey, how's the conversion rate looks like comparing with average conversion. Because right now Amazon give you the metrics of the category, median, and the top conversion, and then that is a good benchmark to compare with your product, especially if your product is very specific for the category. So if your conversion rate is lower than the average category conversion, my suggestion is to pause or scale down your ad spend and optimize the conversion first by either improving your images, the videos, or the pricing, and to make sure you're at least above the average, and then reevaluate again. So if your conversion rate is above the median, and then that is the time to scale, and we will discuss in the next step. Step 6 is scaling your advertising by adding more targeting and into your campaigns. So in order to doing that, and you can increase the bid and increase your bid placement for your well-performed campaign. And also you can create a new campaigns targeting different, more general and broad targeting. And for example, adding auto campaigns have the algorithm to reach the traffic that the algorithm think your product is related with. And it will perform well at this stage because you already have the historical data. They already learned what your product is and which audience and the traffic and will help the product to get sales. And make sure that you turn on the advertisement campaign as well, because that is a well-performed campaign, and we tested across over all the products and all our students' product as well. And if you have several products selling the same category, and you can try Amazon brand advertising, it give you more exposure because it's on the head. Yeah, so the key point here is to reach out as many traffic as possible and to get more sales. Step number 7 is kind of like you are get into a maintenance stage or growing stage, is doing daily maintenance. Make sure you have the dashboard building up to track everyday sales and compare with what your goal is. If your goal is higher and you're not reaching your goal, and thinking about increase your number of ad clicks, and if you are in the right track, you can optimize your ACoS and TAC a little bit and to optimize your profit. And so I think that's pretty much the whole process of new product launch. So if you like this video, comment below or ask any questions. Hit the subscription button if you want to get more Amazon business value. Follow Real Jennifer Yang on all social media channels. I cannot wait to help you.